Okay. Are you ready?
I am. Let's get
Okay.
this show on the road.
What is your name?
My name is Jadyn Alexis Wynn.
And how old are you?
I'm 22 and I'm from all over.
Okay. You're from all over. What does that mean?
My dad was in the Air Force, so I moved around 5 times, like in the course of me growing up. So born in Virginia, but moved to Texas, Hawaii, Maryland, Ohio, and back to Maryland. So
Wow.
a little bit of everything.
How was Hawaii?
It is my favorite place. A little expensive.
Yeah, I heard it's
A little
insane.
expensive, but I have so much love for the island and the people, and I just feel so bad about how our U.S. government is treating them in their sacred spaces, and I'm just, advocating and praying that, everything resolves itself.
Who are you on a soul level?
On a soul level. Is it okay if I talk in terms of astrology? I feel like that's a wonderful way to break down who
If that is how you explain your soul, you go right ahead.
I'm a Taurus sun. Oh, really? I'm driven by beauty and like building things. I didn't even realize how much I love beauty and like the idea of beauty until I got older, but it makes so much sense how much I wanted to draw and like do my makeup, and I'm a graphic designer now, so it all kind of feeds in. I'm a Virgo moon, so I stay processing things, overthinking things, but it helps me stay organized. It helps me, push myself to be better. But I think the thing that really speaks to my soul is just my love of intellect. And my Gemini Venus, she likes the conversation. She likes to get to know each other or getting to know people. And she loves duality. And I think all of those things make up who I am. Just someone who...
You're kind of lucky to have a Gemini Venus. I have an Aries Venus.
Oh,
and I think
a lot of my friends have that.
I think it's just you've ruined me. Like ruined situations.
No, it's just you guys have to understand and appreciate the passion that goes in.
It's too much.
And maybe not burn out so quickly.
Oh my God. So let's start with love. So to you, what does that mean?
Love. When I think of love, I think of like unconditional. A lot of the times when I'm seeing love, I see a lot of love that's like, oh, I love what you can do for me, or I love like our attachment, and I love this, that, and the third, instead of just loving and embracing someone for who they are. And so I always say it is like self-love is the best love, and understanding how to understand, embrace, and accept yourself, so when you go into a relationship, you're able to really, one, understand how you need to be loved and communicate that, but look at the other person and give them the same compassion and unconditional love that you give yourself. So these days, I'm still healing from my past love, actually.
Same.
And really understanding what that connection brought to me, because I feel like everything happens for a reason, and it's all here to teach me something. But what I learned in that past relationship was that I was in a situation where there were conditional things. There was a lot of, I love how you make me feel in this moment. I love the access you give me to certain spaces. I love just the way that you can hold me, and like the way that you're soft and you can soften for me, instead of me looking at them and them looking at me as the persons that we really are. So I've just been reflecting on that actually very recently, and how it wasn't really born out of, that embracing each other at a soul level. Even as we continue to grow, it was like, I love you in this moment because you do these things. And the moment that I evolved, or they evolved, or they changed the way that they interacted, or I changed what I was accepting and not accepting, it started to crumble. There were so many arguments. There were so many toxic, cyclical things that kept happening until I finally realized, I say finally because as a Taurus, I stayed there for a very long time. That's a very long time. I realized it just wasn't mutual respect. It wasn't mutual love. It wasn't unconditional. It wasn't, at its core, what I think love is. And yeah.
How do you feel our generation handles love? Like, what do you think about how we see love and how we love versus how our parents loved and the generations where like songs were actually talking about loving someone and people met in person?
I don't know. I feel like there's just so many shifts between the past loves and how they embraced each other and how we embrace each other and meet each other now. I also think there's a lot of tolerance because of social norms back in the day. So I look back and I see a lot of, older women who stayed with people who didn't really respect them and really didn't care for them the way that they would pour out to their counterparts. And I'm saying from the woman's perspective because I am a woman, but I'm sure there were men who felt the same.
Yeah.
But it's like you tolerated something for so long, even if you were unhappy, because it wasn't okay for you to change your mind and say this isn't working. And accept that moment, especially with marriage and everything. And so we see these really long-term marriages where things didn't necessarily, like on the outside, of course, it looked beautiful. And like, wow, we had this love affair that lasted 70 years. And I feel like nowadays we're in a place where you can look at someone and be like, this ain't it. Like, this ain't it. And I cannot continue to sacrifice myself because I love you. I think there's a lot more self-love these days. And it's because we have the freedom to do so, the freedom and the ability and like the monetary value to say like, oh, I have my own and I can go make my own way instead of being here.
Right.
Sitting with you while you cheat on me. And
facts.
They had whole other families. And I don't think my little heart would ever be able to take it. I would definitely be the one back in the days like, no, I can't do this. I can't.
Yeah, for sure.
But nowadays I feel like we have that freedom, but I also feel like there's a lot of stigma towards love. People are really closing themselves off to love, especially if they've been hurt in the past. And so it's like, it makes it harder and harder to go out and meet someone because you have your boundaries, you have your triggers, you have everything and all your guards up, and so does that other person. When you meet, you're trying to unpack everything and take down these walls, but I feel like we're not doing enough healing. We're not doing enough healing to come at each other with love, and probably because we haven't gotten to the place where we can give love to the person that hurt us before and forgive them.
I love that.
And forgive ourselves. That's more important, actually.
Yeah, that's the most important. Ugh, I love that. Well said. Mental health. So this is something that has been really popular on my page just because more people than like people expect deal with mental illness or mental stress of some sort. So I just wanted to talk to everyone just on like what their thoughts are. As open as you want to be, you can totally go there.
Okay, so I'll talk about my story of mental health. Like I mentioned, I moved around a lot growing up, and I didn't really realize how isolated that made me feel until I got to a place where I could be stagnant and like watch the world go around me. I started realizing how temporary I felt. I'm the person that comes in and then leaves 3 years later, so I'm never there for like the big moments, or like I can literally, especially with social media, I could literally see people's lives move on without me. And it kind of led to a depression, and a depression that I didn't realize I was in. That probably started 10th grade, because I'd lived in Maryland for about 4 years. It was the longest I've ever been to a place, and I had to move to Ohio. And Ohio was just like a complete change of pace from living in Maryland. But also in Maryland, I actually started to build roots, something I didn't allow myself the luxury of having previously. And so I got to Ohio, and I was more quiet, I was sleeping more, I stayed to myself more, but I didn't realize that these were all like depression, symptoms of depression. And when I got back to Maryland, because my father retired and we ended up moving back, when we got back, it started being like really apparent, because here I am back where I was happiest, back where I had the people that I cared about, and I still felt so lonely. Still felt so lonely. And by the time I got to college, because I got back junior year, so I went to University of Maryland, it really started ramping up. Freshman year was great, because freshman year is like all these new experiences, and you're out, and you're not really thinking about the things that make you upset, and you're not really sitting stagnantly. But like sophomore year, where I was more serious and I had more time to my thoughts, it really hit me. And it really hit me how long I had been depressed, and how long I had been anxious and feeling temporary. Someone who's been here for, at that point, 19, 20 years, but feeling so temporary that it got to the point where, I started to feel suicidal, starting to feel like, literally, since I am temporary, no one will really miss me when I'm gone. And that's actually when I started reading tarot cards.
So was this 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Maybe. I think I started reading tarot cards February. I graduated in May, so about 2 years. I just remember, okay, the peak of this was something had happened in my relationship that just made me feel so terrible. I turned off my phone, and I was in my car, and I kind of just wanted to like ram it into a tree. Honestly, that's where I felt. But I was like, just drive, you're gonna feel better. Really just trying to keep myself present in the moment, and like remembering my family and all of that. But I guess in that moment, one of my best friends, who wasn't even in the state, they went to Rutgers, they had called the police because they were worried. Like the last message I sent was like, I just can't deal with this anymore. And they'd already known that I was dealing with all these things. And so when I got back to my apartment, the police were there, and I'm like, no, I don't want to go with you. No, I don't want to have a mental health check. No, I don't want to do this. But instead of letting me go, they put me in handcuffs, dragged me out of my car, and took me to the hospital. And like, I was hyperventilating in the back. And they were like, if you don't stop, I'll have to call an ambulance. And I'm like, who's paying for this? Like, it's ramping it's already ramping my anxiety up. But you have me in cuffs and everything. And I don't know, sitting in the hallway of the emergency room, it just made me think about so much and how much I still have to do. And the changes that I needed to make to just take care of myself. And that's when I just started praying. I was like, God, I know you have a plan for me. I know you do, but can I get a hint? Can I get a guide?
For real.
Can I get something that can help me get through this? Because right now it seems hopeless. Next thing I know, and I'd already been into astrology, but that's when I saw a link to a tarot reading, and it dragged me for filth.
As they all do.
Yes, it dragged me to filth. And like, I was scared, because I was like, you live in Dubai, and like, you are telling me all about myself, and I don't even know. I don't even know how you know all these things. But it got to the point where I was like watching them, making it a point to like see what they had to say. And it got to the point where I was like memorizing, like she would pull a card and be like, oh, we have the Four of Pentacles, and I'd be like, need to let go of something, or like need to, like, are you really restricting yourself, your finances? Do you need to be? And yeah, I was like, I should just go get my own deck. And honestly, as crazy as people look at me when I say this, tarot really saved me. And like how I think about my mental health and how I think about self-care.
Yeah.
It just puts everything into a perspective. Like, it's a bird's eye view, and I can lay everything out and say, okay, hey, I see how you're feeling. I see the energy that you may be in, but I also see kind of like 2 steps ahead and how, you know, this could be helping you get to where you really need to be. And that's the plan that I needed. To this day, I swear, God was like, okay, sis, do this. And now I feel so happy that I can help people have the same clarity and guidance that it's given me, and that I smile more. And I'm not saying that this was like a magic fix, like that I picked up the cards and like suddenly I was good. Anxiety flew away, depression lifted. No, like it took work. It takes work. It takes a consistent effort of actively being like, yes, I want to stay in my bed today. Yes, I'm feeling sad, but I know that going for this walk will make me feel so much better. And I know that, you know, doing something that really feeds my soul, like I like beauty, I do graphic design, do digital illustration, creating something can make me feel so much better. Using outlets that are not drugs, and I'm not saying don't do drugs, I love weed, shout out to her, but like knowing that that's escapism instead of me actually looking at what I need in that moment. Understanding that self-care is not me just putting little band-aids and a mask on and having my cup of wine, but it's also saying like, this person doesn't need to be in your life because they make you upset and they don't respect your boundaries and they don't respect your feelings. Not putting myself into positions where I know I'm going to be anxious because I'm not in alignment with the people I'm hanging out with. Yeah, just actually making those changes made me feel so much better. But I also know it's not easy to do these things. It's a 50-50 thing. It's like, yes, you need to acknowledge what the root of the issue is, but also, are you making those active changes so that you can be happy, so you can smile more? Are you reaching out to people? Because I remember, I'm a Scorpio rising too, so
me too.
I love it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but they were like, it's always like,
that's so crazy.
There's like an assumption that everybody slightly hates me, and I have to. Or like, you know, this person didn't reach out to me, but like I just started looking at myself in the mirror, like, when do you reach out to them? You always want people to come to you, but when do you open yourself up to them so that they can feel like a friend too? When do you let them help you? All this earth in my chart, I just want to seem like everything is okay.
Yeah.
But if things aren't okay, why are you not, you know, just opening yourself up even a little bit to be like, hey, I'm not okay. Can I talk to you?
Yeah.
Or can we do something that'll get my head off of this? Like, am I allowing people to be my friend? Honestly, these are still things that I am working on. It's like, I just had to look at how I'm showing up in situations.
Yeah.
And not even in a place of like shame or like, oh my gosh, you're doing this thing, you didn't even realize it, but like, hey, you're doing this thing, how can you be better? And I forgive you for doing these things because you didn't even know, or you didn't know how to fix it. I think self-forgiveness is so important. Just looking in the mirror and saying, I forgive you for not knowing what you know now, but also then acknowledging that experience is what brought you to this place where you know what you know now. So can you really be that mad?
I love it. And I love everything you just said. And I love you. That was just so beautiful. Too. Thank you for sharing that.
I was afraid that I was rambling a little bit, but these are literally like the ramblings of my mind.
No, my mind works the exact same way. The exact same way.